And so we visited. This is actually the last day of our company site visits. Um, so of all of the visits, we were, let's see, at SMU. We met with Doug Fu from Saki Sushi, right? We met with Sorbonne Corporation. We were with Lenovo Corporation. You want the camera? Okay, Jason.
I was saying he should be on camera.
No, I like being the voice. The voice
the
from beyond, the narrator, yeah.
People like having a face to attach that voice to.
But so we had Lenovo, Sorbonne Corporation, and now PSA. Of all, okay, I'm losing you. Pay attention. Of all of the companies that we visited, which one was your favorite and why? In terms of a learning experience, what do you consider the best? Well, no, we can make it two questions. What was your favorite company and why? And then what was the best learning experience? So, Julie.
My favorite company was Sake Sushi, and I like that because he really stressed the importance of people, and it doesn't matter how good your business model is or your resources that you have. The most important resource is the people side of it, and we learned about that in our management classes, and it's kind of cool to see him actually do that. So the importance of treating your people with respect and understanding family and safety and quality was really cool to me. And I always thought that business was like go, 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 harsh people, harsh rulers, do the best, but he's been so successful with how he treats people.
So that was your favorite and your best learning experience?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, all right. Moving on here to Jason.
Jason.
Why don't you answer that question for us?
It's really hard to choose a favorite, to be honest. I mean, a lot of them were really great.
What about best learning experience? Are you just
Best learning experience? Today's visit to the PSA was all supply chain management 354. I mean, from the book, so it was pretty applicable. And then I think that talking with Jerry Smith, the senior vice president of supply chain at Lenovo, was interesting to find out just from someone so high up in a company, how they measure their KPIs and really what they're striving to do as a player within the industry. I thought that was really insightful, and it was really great to talk to him.
good? Okay. Zach, your thoughts about your favorite and your best learning experience?
Well, my best learning experience, I would say, was probably Sorbonne, just because I thought it was so interesting to see how public housing can work here when it clearly does not work as well in the United States. I thought it was really interesting to learn about that. My favorite was Saki Sushi, just because it's one of the best meals I've ever had. So I really liked going there.
What was your favorite food at the meal? Do you remember? Did you have a particular thing? Any eel or bluefish or?
No, you know what I really liked that I'd never had before was the tuna in the beginning.
Seared tuna.
Yeah, the tuna in the beginning was awesome.
Yeah, that was good. And that's considered like the McDonald's of Saki Sushi is the McDonald's of food here, and high quality, good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, Megan.
I think it's hard to choose between best learning experience between Sorbonne and PSA. For me, I think they were, because it was two areas that I really had no knowledge about prior. I had no idea about the urban development in Singapore, and I had no idea about all the shipments that go through Singapore. So I think both of those were great learning experiences. And my favorite company, just because I liked it, was Sake Sushi. And again, the meal was great, but the guy in general, you can see how he's able to develop those supply chain relationships, because he was such a personable guy and so nice, and so he seems so genuine, and you can see how he develops relationships and people want to work with him. And that's definitely an aspect of running an effective business, is making people want to work with you because you're just a personable individual.
Did you find it interesting that he called himself a small business owner, and his retail chain is multi-million dollar?
Yeah, and he kept referring to it as a small venture. But I think, how do you move up in the business world if you already think you're the top tier? You can't move up if you think, oh, we're the biggest enterprise.
Right.
You always have something to strive for, so it's better to be modest about it than...
Absolutely. Otherwise, they may fall prey to that Icarus paradox that we talk about in Management 301, right? Okay, Carl, moving on.
All the trips were enlightening learning experiences for me.
new learning experiences.
Yes. Everywhere we went, we learned something new, a lot of things that we didn't know before.
Right.
But as for my favorite one, I definitely have to say Lenovo's Jerry Smith.
Lenovo.
Yes, he showed us what ruthless objectivism in practice was. Just basically the gym rat kind of guy that believes in himself, that still manages to succeed. It's an inspiration.
Yeah, inspirational. Okay.
See a little bit of yourself in Jerry Smith.
Exactly.
So best learning experience and favorite visit.
Well, Lenovo was my favorite.
Yeah.
As for best learning experience, it's really hard to decide.
Well, you're a CSB major, right,
Yes.
Carl? So it probably was right up your alley to begin with, right?
So.
So. Okay. All right, now we're moving on to Pat over here. And Pat, best learning experience and most favorite visit?
That's a good question. Best learning experience, I'd probably say Savannah, because that's the only place I think we went where we didn't know any information about the industry going into it.
Right.
Would you even call it an industry?
Yeah, housing industry.
Yeah, but it was really interesting seeing how it worked here and how it worked in other cities and how they could urban plan so effectively in
Right.
a less democratic society, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was just really cool to see how that worked and, but everything in perspective, like how the U.S. works versus how we work. Like things we can't do in the States that they have no problem doing here.
Right.
But
So that was your best and your best learning experience?
my favorite was definitely Lenovo.
Lenovo.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You asked a great question at Lenovo. Actually, Jerry Smith commented on that. Would you tell us what that question was when you were there? Repeat. It was about open source, and you talked about.
Oh yeah. I asked why don't they just send out computers with a Linux operating system or open source operating system, because they have to pay $400 or so to Microsoft every time they sell a computer with their Windows on it.
Right.
So it kind of makes sense if they could if they're going for a low cost computer, why don't they have an open source OS?
And what did he respond? Do you remember?
He said that in China there's so much piracy of Microsoft anyway, just because they don't really respect contract law over there.
Right.
That when they sell the computers, they sell without any BIOS, any operating system. They just sell it with MS-DOS and leave it up to the consumer to actually find their own operating system.
Yeah.
And he was saying that he was hoping that Google would come out with a really popular open source, or maybe they buy it a Linux, something like that.
Right.
And try and make their own operating system, and from there that would be the new standard. Kind of take the market share away from Microsoft.
Right.
And he hated Microsoft with passion, as he said over and over.
Yeah.
So he's looking for any excuse to not deal with them, because they demand so much money from him to do anything with it, and he needs their name in order to sell the computer in the first place.
Interesting, because he definitely did not like Microsoft, right? And then,
Right.
but he was much kinder about Intel, which also has a similar kind of monopoly.
Well, it's not really a monopoly so much. I mean, AMD is pretty big, and you can buy a bunch of
Right.
other smaller guys. I mean, Intel's the second name to Microsoft. As far as processors go, you probably do want an Intel, but it's less pervasive than Microsoft is.
Right.
But he still didn't like Intel either.
Yeah.
He said he liked dealing with the hard drive manufacturers like Seagate and Western Digital,
Right.
because there was so much more competition.
Right. Good. And Jean, last but not least, can you comment a little bit about your favorite company and as well as your best learning experience?
I'd probably say my favorite company was definitely Lenovo.
Lenovo?
In terms of learning experience, I think that Jerry Smith, he seemed to come off as, I know that he was in charge of global marketing, and I've always been interested in field global marketing. I understand that the world market as a whole is moving more Asia-centric, and I think I really understood that better, and really just understanding how he has managed to help Lenovo grow with IBM, and
Sure.
how they plan to really integrate more into China to really try to I guess yes in the process he said that he was trying to become a first mover, but he also understood that there were other companies who were still trying to compete with him.
Right.
So I found it
In China, yeah. Especially good.